You are listening to the Practicing the Art of Small Business podcast with Shannyn Merlo and Julie Parker. Enjoy this conversation about business, leadership, and the self-awareness journey to great success.
Hello, Julie, and hello, listeners, to Practicing the Art of Small Business, episode number 47. Julie, how are you?
I'm super well. Thanks so much for asking.
My pleasure. My pleasure. It would be kind of rude if I didn't ask, I think.
Yeah, it's a very Australian thing. So they always say that about Australians, that we ask without any desire to hear the answer.
How are you? Don't care. Let me move on.
That's right. Yeah. Just say good things. Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, that's all you need to say. That's all you need to say.
I'm fine. It's all good. It's fine. House is on fire. It's fine.
Have you had a good period of time since we last went to air?
It's fine. It's been fine.
Yeah. Fine is frustrated, insecure, neurotic, and emotional.
Sounds about right. No, I'm good, Julie. Thank you for asking.
Good. Oh, that's my pleasure. Thanks so much for telling me. Yeah. What's our topic for today going to be, Shannyn?
Well, Julie, I have been watching you on social media, gallivanting around at trade shows or conferences. Yes. And I thought that I could pick your brain on behalf of our audience with regard to should they attend a conference or a trade show, and also how to make the most of it.
I think that's a tremendous idea, since I've only just been to a couple and it's all fresh in my brain.
Very good. Well, let's get started, shall we?
Okay, sounds great. Oh, go, Shannyn. Just checking my jacket. The dog came in from outside in the rain and just making sure there wasn't mud on my jacket.
Julie likes to be presented very, very well for the people listening via the podcast.
Don't forget the YouTubes.
Well, that's true. That's true. If you'd like to check out Julie's jacket, feel free to check us out on YouTube as well as your various podcast streaming services.
Oh, gosh, that's very good.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So, Julie, why did you decide to attend these? Were they conferences or trade shows?
One was a trade show and one was a conference with trade ability there too.
Okay. So I guess maybe just for our audience, should we just call it like trade show?
Trade shows. Trade shows. Cool. Yes. Yeah.
So why did you decide to attend the trade shows?
Well, for those who may not be aware, I am in the dental industry, so I'm a dental practice consultant. Mm-hmm. And these spaces were designed for dentists and their dental team members to come along to. And I went along to both of them as a guest. The second one I did have a minor stand there. But certainly the first one, which is a large one, ADX in Melbourne, hundreds of, maybe thousands, I don't know, people coming through, lots and lots of booths there, trade booths there. And I always go along to the ADX ones, which is Australian Dental Expos, as a guest, simply because it costs thousands of dollars to get a stand and I can never really justify the cost. However, it's been interesting because I come to this conclusion at the end of every trade show I go along to, where I do think, goodness me, it's definitely worth the time and energy. Because I was mentioning before, Shannyn, to you when we weren't recording, it's always a challenge in the lead up to attending these conferences or trade shows, because they're 2-3 days in length, where you think, oh, can I afford the time and the energy away from doing my stuff to actually go there? But I have come away yet again at the end of it, on the other end of it, thinking, absolutely. But we want to make sure that we do drag as much benefit out of those trade shows as possible.
Mm-hmm. I've got so many questions, Julie.
Hopefully I have so many answers.
Maybe I'll just jump to the end.
Yeah.
Which is, what are your key learnings that you've gotten from these trade shows? What are the key things that you've taken away from them that you'll implement for the next one that you attend?
It kind of brings me straight to the topic of the Charles Covest show this past Sunday. You cannot get extraordinary results with an ordinary behavior, And so do go in there trying to step outside a little bit. And, before we started recording again, you were talking about the comfort zone. You've got a group of people that you'll be going into, encourage them to step outside the comfort zone, because that's what business is. And it certainly is the case. We can go along to these trade shows with the intention of just being a bit of an observer and let's see what happens. But if you do that, you are more likely to get less value than those people that go there and saying, let's make things happen. I'm going to try to reach out to as many people as I can, have as many helpful conversations as I can, and make better use of it, because I want a more of an extraordinary result from it. So that was my first learning from it, that what you put in, you certainly get out of it. The other two learnings that I got from it that I'm taking with me to the next trade show, as you know, I'm an online calendar fan. So I've already put in at next year's trade show what my plan is.
Ooh.
Because as the year passes and as we get up to it, we start thinking small, because I've got to get something done today and tomorrow, and I don't have time to go there. But we really need more big picture thinking when we go there. And we've got that big picture thinking at the end of the trade show. And so I've already put in, the next time I go in with this mindset. Remember, these were the benefits from last time. These were your actions. What can you do for this coming one to get the best out of it?
So, I mean, there's such learnings that you can apply with that approach to a whole bunch of elements in our business. At the end of the sales meeting that we had, what are the things that I need to improve on in the next sales meeting, and documenting that down. When I did an interview, what are the next things when the next time I interview, when I hired someone, or I'm doing a performance management. So there's such great opportunities, but I do in particular love that mindset of, I had really good learnings here. There was some stuff that worked. There was some stuff that didn't work, but it's going to be 6 or 12 months before you attend another one. So I really like the idea of making sure that there's time allocated to do that retrospective. What worked well, what didn't work well, what are the things that I need to have in place for the next time around? Really cool key learnings.
Yeah.
What other key learnings did you have, Julie, or were they the main ones? Still got plenty of other questions, so don't feel like you.
Beautiful. The other one was go for the whole time. Sometimes you think to yourself, I'll just go for a day or just go for 2 of the 3 days. My lesson that I'm taking, one of the things I'm taking with me is go for the whole time, go to the breakfasts in the morning, go to the events, the social events in the evening, do the whole hog. Yes, you'll be tired. Yes, it'll be exhausting. Everyone else is in the same boat though. It's really like you get onto a little stranded on an island with tribe-like people that are just like you. And so it ends up being a very concentrated time where you can get a lot of useful connections happening. And it's those morning breakfasts, certainly the evening dinners, where you have a couple of drinks and everyone's feeling a little bit loose and happy. They're exhausted from the day. And you all got that same mindset where you're just ready for a little bit of fun. That's great relationship building stuff. Likeability building. Yeah.
Did you, when you went in, did you have an intention? Did you have a set of intentions or goals that you wanted to hit? And was that important to have?
My goal was, in the build up to it, of course, within the industry, you've got different people reaching out. I'm going to ADX. Are you going to ADX? Let's catch up. Let's catch up. And so because of previous ones, I knew there's no catching up for lunch. No one's got time to sit around for an hour, but there's certainly catching up. So you can say, I'll be in the coffee area sitting at a table. So come over there. And then people know that you're there. And so you do tend to have messages while you're talking to somebody else. Just a second, this next person wants to come and meet too. Why don't they come into this table with you? You can get to meet them as well. And so it kind of put yourself in a position where there's, like, certainly do the big walk around beforehand, make sure everyone knows you're there. Jump on socials. This is a big thing. Jump on your social media prior to the days prior to, saying, I will be there, reach out. And then once you're there, I'm here. I'm sitting over here in the kiosk. Come over for a coffee. If I'm sitting with somebody, jump on in. I'm sure I'm talking to somebody that you'd love to meet. And then have those regular 10-minute 15-minute discussions with key people. And that is, and again, I've got to reflect back to what we were talking about just before. Don't just do industry speak. Utilize all of those 3 days, your conversations with people, to find out more about them on a personal level, build good, strong, friendly rapport with them, and really tap into, we want to have enjoyable discussions, not just logistical ones all the way through.
Mm. What did you set any KPIs or anything like that for yourself to help you set a pathway for yourself? And where I'm coming from is businesses quite often might send a team member or 2 team members to trade shows to do this work. There's 2 elements to my question. Do you think setting goals for yourself or for team members is important? And what goals did you set for yourself?
I think it's very effective to set goals, whether it's you going yourself or sending a team member. Don't just walk past the stands and pick up brochures. We want 20 meaningful conversations, for example, per day.
Mm-hmm.
And the goal that I did set for myself, because keep in mind, this would be a trade show that I would normally have had, if I was to spend the money, which I wasn't. I'd actually set up a booth for myself, a stand for myself. A lot of the people walking through, it was actually designed for dental practice owners, managers, and their team members.
Mm-hmm.
But when I went, and Amina, my buddy, my colleague in the industry, we have both learned when we go to these things, it's not to promote our services to the people walking around.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a stand there. We don't, it's bad if we're kind of tackling people down, on their way to another stand. Well, come over to this little corner. Let me tell you about my stuff. But what we did want to know, because we see so much power in developing our network with
Mm-hmm.
other industry professionals, because all of these industry professionals, whether they are dental fit-out companies, other consultants like us, the dental software companies, the products, the reps
Mm-hmm.
for all of these consumables lines, marketing professionals, what are we all trying to do? We've all got one common goal: to solve the pain points of dental practices, to help dental practices be more successful.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's through networking that we then have conversations. You know what? You're marketing, I'm a consultant, you over there, you do the dental software stuff. Let's start getting some group webinars happening to really start solving some pain points for dental practitioners, where the 3 of us get an audience that then we can then sell our wares to or promote our wares to.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of collaborative discussion comes from that.
Mm-hmm.
And it is interesting how you have a certain level of success when you put out a webinar where it's just you presenting. But when you can start tapping into 3, 4, 5 different networks,
Mm-hmm.
different, they already know, like, and trust these other people, and authority in the field, all of a sudden your numbers boost and your authority boosts, because you're leveraging off each other's expertise.
Well, it's really an affiliate marketing strategy, isn't it? Really using people who have like audiences. And I think attending these trade shows where you can build these industry connections with both of your clients are the same client. So this is one of these things about networking and referral marketing, is who do you know within your network who works with the same types of clients that you work with? And so you're just then doing that on a real macro level within these trade shows. And maybe there's something to learn there. I know that when I've attended, very rarely when I've attended shows related to my business and my service offering, I have gone in with more of a mindset around, where's a potential customer? And you're right, it does really limit you, because you don't want to tackle someone in the aisle, and and it's really uncomfortable. Yeah. But if you go there with an intention of, I can help you and you can help me and we can help our joint customer, then people are much more interested in talking to you, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Rather than it be, what can you do for me? Mental space, you're going in with a win-win-win. You and I win and our client wins. And so why don't we work together?
Yep. So I think potentially setting an intention of win-win-win. How can I go in with a win-win-win?
Yeah, nice. I like it. I like it a lot. And I tell you as well, I started a podcast just over a year ago. And I remember because the last ADX, I think we were in Sydney then, the last ADX, maybe it was down here in Melbourne, doesn't really matter. We can go on. I remember saying, I'm thinking about, and I wouldn't have said I'm thinking about, I'm going to be starting a podcast. Would you be interested in coming on as a guest? What I would like is to have a combination of people who are in the industry talking about their expertise, people getting exposure to all of the industries that are out there to help dental practices be more successful, so practices know about them, because they just don't know about them. This is one of the big challenges within the dental industry, that all of the marketing email marketing is the most effective way of reaching people, because you don't get access to people's personal email addresses normally, or their personal home addresses. Everything goes to the mailbox of the practice or through the email box of the practice. And with both benefit and drawback attached to this, the receptionist is the gatekeeper. And they get in the routine of junking anything that's selling you something. But the stuff that's selling you something quite often is, did you know that our service was out there? You might really need us. But the dentist owners, managers never get to see this stuff. And so the podcast for me has been one of the reasons why I started it, so I could actually start to tap into the ears and eyes of the practice owners. And so I present that as being a guest on the podcast. You either talk about your expertise to promote your own business, or just let people know that you're out there, because they're not seeing you. I didn't see you. I had to track you down. I didn't know you were out there. But also stories from dental professionals as well, who are, maybe retiring dentists sharing their pearls of wisdom, etc. And so I remember last expo, I was talking about the podcast, had a whole bunch of interest. Doing that now I go to this expo, people just know me now. It's glorious. Not everyone.
I'm known.
That big. But
there's a noise that happens. It's like la that happens when you walk into the room. The heavens open up.
She's here. She's here.
The lighting tends to focus on your face.
And so going there, you see all the people that have been on the show throughout the year, and you have already developed a good, close friendship with them, because I've spent an hour asking all about them, learning about their journey. It's very engaging stuff. And so the podcast has been a magnificent thing too, because it helps you reconnect with all these important connections again. So if you are in an industry and they don't have a lot of podcast presenters out there, it is worth the time and energy. Podcasting can be a very time-intensive thing or not. This podcast, for example, Shannyn, how much time does it take from our lives? We've intentionally created it so it's not a huge time sapper.
Not a lot for me. It's much more for you, because you're our editor, which I really appreciate.
I know you do. And I enjoy doing it because I've done others. I've got a nice refined little system to do it, because for me, podcasts are better done than perfect. You could spend a lot of time on them. So, if we spend an hour recording, I will then spend maybe an hour and a half editing, and then 15 minutes putting it out there. We do this every 2 weeks. A lot of people think, oh, you have to do it every single week and you can't miss a week. Bugger it. Of course you can have a podcast without being that regimented around it. But it's worth the time and energy, because you do really build your network out big time, and your audience, your target market, are listening to you. So they're developing a know, like, and trust with you as well. And I've got to say, doing a podcast was one of the best things I actually did. But another thing that I did, which I didn't have the idea about it until I was there, and I think it was my podcasting experience that had me think about this. And in the moment, I started doing it at the start of the first day, and because of the feedback I was getting, I did it for the whole 3 days. So I was going around to these industry professionals, these stands, and I was putting my video on and had it on me first. Here it is. I'm Julie. We're here at ADX. This is exciting. Now, here's Shannyn. Shannyn, tell us about you. What do you offer dental practices? And then you tell us for 1 to 2 minutes, 1 minute, 1 minute 20 sort of thing of what you do. It's a fun, short snippet video. These were getting hundreds of views. I was doing heaps of them through the 3 days. We were getting hundreds of views, and people messaging me, thank you so much for these videos. I feel like I'm there. I couldn't make it, but I feel like I'm there.
Amazing.
And so that had a bigger impact than I could ever have imagined. And the reciprocity it built up, because these stands, they're there because they want exposure.
Yep.
And so if I was adding to that and then making people who weren't even there, they were exposed to people who weren't even there, they were really happy about it and very appreciative of that effort. Took just a couple of minutes of their time, but it's out there and they're seeing all the views. I'm tagging them in it, hashtagging this and that.
Yep.
And that is something I'm certainly going to take with me to future trade shows, because again, it tightens those networks, builds up more networks, but then my target market are out there thanking me for that effort.
Well, you certainly flooded all of my social media when you did that. So thank you for that. And I wonder whether I had a chat with a friend of mine who is the content producer director role, content producer manager of a large multinational company. And a team of the sales force went to a conference, and he said, I wanted them to record a little video as they're getting on the plane, as they're meeting in the airport, once they arrive, do a couple of little shorts, and they didn't do it. And I said to him, well, how did you prepare them? Oh, I told them that I just needed this and this and this and this. And I said to him, well, did you ask who's actually comfortable in doing that? Because, and he was like, well, I told them I wanted it. And I said, yes, but you've missed the thing of understanding, are they capable emotionally of doing it?
Getting over the big main hurdle to get it done.
Correct. So I think that what you did was absolutely brilliant. You flooded social media. You were out there. So it kind of doesn't matter what the message was. You became very visible yourself. You were leveraging other people's networks because you were tagging them. Yeah. It showed you in the light of which you're amazing at. You're so enthusiastic. You're so engaging. You're so easy to watch, I think.
That's kind. Thank you.
and glorious to look at, obviously.
Obviously. It's hard to look away.
I was affixed to my phone, Julie.
Here again. Oh, man, she's a pain in the ass.
So there's so much benefit. But I think if either if you're attending a trade show, you being audience, or you've got team members, there's so much benefit that can come into leveraging video. But I'd strongly encourage you, listeners, to make sure, if it's not your comfort zone, you've found ways to actually make it as easy as possible on yourself, or you've tested it, or find someone who is going to do it and just because they love it. They're already in front of social media dancing to TikToks. I mean, again, it's the youth, Julie, it's the youth.
The youth are very confident. The oldies, not so much. But it's very much a space I feel like you could fake it till you made it. So do some role playing, like, within your business confines with people that you feel safe with. Figure out, what are the two big questions I'm going to ask when I do these videos? How can I exaggerate my enthusiasm to a degree that this is going to be actually a nice, lively video to watch? And just do that on repeat in your role plays, and just fake that energy, because it then becomes your energy. Everything is foreign until it is familiar. Even enthusiasm can feel foreign. It's just not me. No, enthusiasm for me is foreign because I haven't yet done it enough to learn what it feels like to do it authentically. And practice makes better. Practice makes better.
And I love that. Practice makes better, not practice makes perfect.
Every time I say practice makes perfect, Charles is in the background yelling, it makes better, not perfect.
No, I love it. Practice makes better. I think we just rephrase that commonly held phrase.
Yeah, I think so too. One of the other things I wanted to, leave us off on was, because those videos are part of it for sure, but do have the intention of having conversations with people where it is very obvious your authenticity, your friendliness, and your generosity of spirit.
So what happens if you don't have those to start off with, Julie? Just help me out.
Fake it till you make it. Fake it till you make it.
Fake it till I'll write that
who's
down.
Authentic? What are the sort of things you say to people? How are you friendly with people? I'm going to try and practice that. And because what we want to do is, as I say, there are industry speak conversations. They're going to have the industry folk and the people attending the trade show are going to have them to what's a word, what's a phrase? They're going to have them, there's one in my head, ad nauseum. They're going to have them ad nauseum. Is that the right way?
Yeah.
They're going to have them so much. It's just going to be, none of them are going to really highlight out unless it was a really particular area of interest for you. But what you do, what is that saying? That people won't remember what you...
That people don't remember what you say. They remember how you make them feel.
Exactly. Authenticity, friendliness, generosity of spirit. That's how you make people feel with those characteristics coming forward and driving those conversations. And so when you're talking to anybody at these trade shows about what they do and, why did you come today? Be super interested and have that, I wonder if you knew that there was another stand around the corner. I reckon you'd really enjoy them. Do you want me to take you around and introduce you to them? Have that generosity spirit and that friendliness going big time, because a great goal to have is that I'm going to have the kind of conversations. So even if people didn't know me before, and when they were asked about me, oh, do you know of a good consultant? I've heard of Julie Parker. Whereas if they didn't know me before, they'd go, oh, I've heard about her. I've never met her though. I don't know what she's like. At least now they've met you and they have felt you and you've made them feel good. So even if they haven't utilized your services or know about your services in any way, now you've got a growing reputation of, I know Julie Parker. I don't know of anybody who used her, but I've met her and she's just delightful, really friendly gal.
You know what? She is. I've met her. She is delightful.
So I think that's another good goal to have when you're going in there, another good thought to have.
We wanted to keep this one as a bit of a short one. I wondered what the follow-up process is that you created, because I know you love a bow on things. I know that you like to wrap things up. So would you mind sharing with us what your follow-up process is? And by even suggesting this, I am presupposing to our wonderful listeners that there should always be a follow-up process that you have as part of your attendance to the trade show. So Julie's going to share with us what hers was, and we would actually love to, in the spirit of sharing of generosity, if you attend trade shows, pop in the comments of where you're listening to this, either on YouTube or in the podcast itself, to sort of say what are the ways that you follow up people once you've attended.
And I say, don't think you're going to remember all the good conversation, all the good stuff. You won't remember it all. There'll be lots of it. And so I took my awesome diary, a previous one that hadn't sold. Most of them always sell. And I was just writing notes about every interaction, things that I wanted to make sure I remembered. So that's number one. Take a booklet of some kind so you can write down everything. Do not rely on your memory. It's not good enough. Hopefully you have so many things going on that you'll need to write them down. That's number one. Number two, get cards from everybody. And number three, because the cards can prompt a memory. Oh, that's right. That's what I was talking to the Tooth Fairy and Company about. Stephanie.
There is actually a company called the Tooth Fairy. That's really cute.
It's a dental surgery. Family dental care.
That's
And this chick from the human practice, Naomi Arnold, I get to call her names because we're such good buddies now, because she's already been on the podcast and it's just been released out this past week. That leads me into the next thing. So first of all, take a book with you, write everything down. Second thing, collect as many cards with people that you've actually spoken to as possible. And the third thing is you create the call to action. And so with Naomi, for example, I was impressed with her and loved what she was doing. She's all about building good team cultures and training people how to have difficult conversations in a team. So straight away, I want you on the podcast. I'm going to send you an email link the minute I get home. Or I don't ever say the minute I get home, the minute this expo's finished, because again, you're so exhausted by the end of the night, you're just going to bed.
Yeah, of course.
So you either say, Chloe, that's right, Chloe was from 10th thing. And so I'm going to email you when I get back. I'm going to do this thing. I'm either going to ask for a list of services so I can share it with my clients. I am going to put an invite through to you on the podcast. I'm going to send you a calendar invite so we can have a longer discussion, because this is really good, this discussion. I'm going to send you a calendar invite for a virtual meeting for 30 minutes so I can find out much more about you. So you start creating these calls to action with people who you feel an affinity with, that there's going to be a win-win in some way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And also you have to, how much of that follow-up is, you've got your 3 days of the expo. The fourth day, the expo's over, but that's when you're doing all the follow-ups. And you're tired. You don't necessarily want online meetings and all the rest that day anyway. So block that whole day off and just devote it to all your follow-ups.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think one of the biggest challenges that I've certainly seen and experienced is you are absolutely cooked at the end of it. And you need a couple of days to recover. And what can happen then is, because you've not blocked out your calendar, there's sort of meetings and business as usual that comes in because you've been away for 3 days. So you've got a backlog of work, and it's really easy to get caught in the weeds of business as usual, working in your business, But really, it's so important to block out that time, have a process that you follow, because I think one of the big challenges is, got a block of time. What am I doing again? What's the thing? So really develop that process, right? I've got to write the email. I've got to send the email. I've got to do the thing. I've got to put that person in the CRM. So make sure that there's a bit of a strategy around creating that follow-up process. So it's nice and easy on your brain, because brain's probably a bit tired. So give brain a little bit of a leg up, give brain a leg up.
One end of the body to the other. Give your brain a kick.
So that you make it nice and easy. So block out time in your diary. Julie.
Shannyn.
I think there's certainly lots of other questions I was going to ask. And if our listeners have questions that they want to pick Julie's brain with, again, leave a comment or get in touch with us via our website, practicingtheartofsmallbusiness.com.au.
Oh, now you got me. Try both of them.
I've got it open. Hang on, practicingtheartofsmallbusiness.com. We're just at .com. And the thing that catches me up is English. It's practicing with an S, not practicing with a C, because we do proper English here. We also know our yours and yours, your ours and yours. So it's practicing with an S, not a C, because it is the art of practicing as opposed to a practice.
Correct.
Anyway, little side note around English, which...
That's right. UK English.
UK British English, correct?
That's right.
So I think there's other questions I could ask, like, how do you decide what one's going to give you good value? Should you have a stand? How do you decide you'll have a stand? Why did you decide? I think I said, why did you decide to attend? But I think that I've covered off in my mind the main things. But if our listeners have other questions, we can do part 2. So feel free to get in touch.
We can call it part 2.
Is there anything else that I haven't asked you that you wanted me to ask you?
No, but I just want to go back to what you had said to me before we recorded about another topic. You may feel uncomfortable in this space. If you're not an extrovert or you're not used to going around networking and things, go in with those feelings of discomfort and think to yourself, this is good. The feelings of discomfort are something I'm supposed to embrace, because that means I'm pushing myself out of that comfort zone. And that's exactly what you need to do if, unless you're quite an energetic, gregarious kind of person or well-known in your industry. But just say to yourself that the feelings of discomfort are important, because I want to push myself beyond how I would normally participate in these things. And I will be so thankful at the end of it. You'll have friendships a larger network and feel really great about yourself.
I think setting those intentions can be really helpful. Definitely. Like, what's the mindset that you need to have in order to maintain your energy, make the most of it, enjoy it, find ways to enjoy it. If networking and peopling, humaning isn't your jam normally, how do you find ways to actually connect with people in a way that does really help you, in a way that feeds your soul during times, because they're long days. You start at breakfast and it goes through to the evening. So you really want to find ways to find joy and find ways of recharging your energy, and have an intention to actually do that while you're there, to make the most of the time.
That's right. And you be the instigator. Everyone else feels the same way. They all feel unsure. They don't want to approach you either, just like you don't want to approach them, but make a commitment to be the instigator of the conversation, of the approach.
Should I do a wrap?
Rappy wrap.
Oh, actually, I do have one more question before I wrap.
Groovy.
Why should we attend trade shows?
Because they're great at building out your network. They're a great way of finding out what is available in the industry and new things. For example, AI has hit our industry a quite interesting way, which I would never have found out about before. And it's good to be seen. If you're an industry expert, it's good for your market to see you out and about doing active things within the industry. Connection, awareness, growth, personal growth.
Great. Well, just imagine that I wrap up that bit. That's why you should attend trade shows. To make this most of your trade show, we recommend that you go in with an intention and also put goals or KPIs around that. So how many conversations are you going to have? How many follow-up meetings are you going to create? Set an intention also around the energy that you're going to bring, being someone who is authentic and genuine and generous. Utilize the opportunity for affiliate marketing more than direct marketing. So who is there that has a similar client to what you work with, and look at ways that you guys can collaborate together. Guys, girls, humans, people, businesses can collaborate to serve and support your combined client. Ensure that you attend all of the events, go for the long haul. Know that you're going to be tired at the end of it, but just make sure you leverage social media. Let people know that you're there let people know that you're going to be there before you're there. Let them know that you're going to be there while you're there, and let them know that you were there after you were there. Think about win, 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 win. Practice is better. Practice makes better. Ensure you have a follow-up process that you actually take, and be the instigator of change.
Gosh, it sounds so impressive. I love your summaries. I love your wrap-ups.
I'm just regurgitating what you said. So
what a mess.
Not at all. Really valuable stuff, Julie. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you very much for asking about it.
My pleasure. Means that I get to sit back and just ask the questions.
And now, because for Shannyn and I, we've now hit evening. It's very close to 6 p.m. And I think we've both promised we're going to go away in our own little areas and have a little glass of wine, which is nice.
I may need to eat first, because otherwise...
Oh, that's right. You haven't eaten at all today yet.
I had breakfast at 7.
Yeah.
And I've had 2 large coffees.
Yeah.
But brain's a little bit like, we need something. I'll just quieten it down with a glass of wine.
Well, you enjoy. Cheers to you.
Thank you. Thank you, listeners. We will catch you next time.
See you later, everyone.